Good afternoon and welcome to Atlas Judgment Recovery Corp out in Beverly Hills, California. Today is Monday, August the 14th, 2017. I'm Howard Paul Shore. With me I have Dennis Gawant, who's the owner and founder of this very important judgment recovery company. So tell me, Dennis, what do you do to help people who have judgments?
Well, it's very interesting. About 75% to 80% of all people and entities that win civil or even small claims judgments never collect a dime. They rejoice when they win, but then they say, what do I do now? The court does very little to help. Most people do not have the time, the inclination, or the knowledge to know how to collect the assets and even find the debtor. And frequently, as they leave the courtroom, the debtor says, I didn't pay you at the beginning and I'm not going to pay you now. With a simple process of assigning the judgment to my company, which I prepare the paperwork, I file that assignment with the court, and there is an agreement. The agreement highlights the salient details of the case, like the courthouse, the name of the plaintiff, the defendant, the case number, the amount of the judgment, and the day the judgment was entered. And once I file that with the court and they accept it, basically the judgment is legally mine, and then I can proceed and get a social security number, date of birth, and I have resources to find bank accounts, employers to do wage garnishments. I can have the sheriff pick up a car, a boat, a plane, and auction it, and the proceeds going into the sheriff's office and ultimately being distributed to me and then to the judgment creditor. I work on a contingency basis. So if I do not collect anything or recover anything, then there is no cost, there is no risk to the judgment creditor. And I do fail. There are bankruptcies, there are flakes, there are people who move to Venezuela for reasons I can't explain. And there are other reasons why people know, the crooks are the worst because they know to keep their assets under the cover or with a child or with a parent. But in California, there is community property and I can go after a spouse of the debtor.
Great.
So with that said, since there's no risk at all, a lot of the judgment creditors said, well, why should I give it to you? And I said, well, are you expecting a check anytime soon? It's been 1 year, 5 years, 7 years, and you haven't recovered a dime, and the likelihood of getting any payment is zero. And the judgments do expire after 10 years, but I pay for the renewal of that judgment for another 10 years with all the accrued interest, which in California is 10% a year. A lot better than my stock portfolio is doing that now. So with that said, I just look forward to getting calls, and I get referrals now more than anything from people I've recovered from. In fact, I got several referrals from judgment debtors that I recovered money from because they said many people before me had failed, but I succeeded, and I did it in a very professional and a nice way. I don't call after hours, I don't use vulgarity, I use what the law allows me. Well, with that said, if I can be of service to anyone, I would welcome a phone call. I mean, my number is 310-276-4900. My email is atlasjudgmentrecovery@gmail.com. My website, which succinctly describes what I do, is atlasjudgmentrecovery.com or .net. The key is the word judgment is spelled Judgment. There is no E after the G. Even lawyers put the E in and then call me and say, I can't get onto your website, you know?
For how many years has it been without the E? That's a good question, huh?
It's been without the E forever. Okay, so that's something that I can deal with.
Right. May I ask you a question? I mean, I appreciate everything that you're telling people, but
sure.
What is the difference between what you do and a collections agency? Because I have been very unsuccessful with collections agencies, which is why I use your services.
Okay, a collection agency can go after anyone who owes a debt when someone hires them to do so. I only work post-judgment. There has to be a judgment entered by the court and the appeal period of 30 or 60 days, depending on whether it's small claims or civil. After that appeal period, then I get involved. Basically we do similar functions, but I only get involved after a judgment is entered. But it's a good question.
Yeah, great.
And also in a collection agency, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of cases, and if they can't get an easy fine right away, it usually goes in the back burner. I never put it on the back burner. If I fail in my attempt to find bank accounts or employers or vehicles and other assets, in 3-4 months I do my searches all over again. I pay for them. I can subpoena a debtor into court for an examination, which I pay for. I go to court. So the last involvement of the judgment creditor is to assign the judgment to me and then wait for a phone call that I collected $5,000, $50,000. I have judgments in the 7 figures. I have judgments for $3,000, $4,000, and lots in between.
That's great. Typically, what is your commission when you're working out a deal with a client?
Typically, it's 50%. If it's over $100,000, we can work something out. But typically, it's 50% because of the fact that I incur a lot of time and effort and expenses in going after debtors. If I do fail, and I do fail because of the reasons I gave a few moments ago, I have to somehow make up for that or I'd be out of business. And most people say 50% of something is better than all of nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes, because I could definitely, be a witness to that, because you've helped me with a couple judgments.
I sure have.
Yes, especially the latest one, right?
Yep. Got a few $1,000s. It took about 3 years, but I've recovered as quickly as 3 or 4 months, and I've recovered in 7 or 8 years. Because once I put a lien on someone's real property, like a house, which I do immediately upon getting a judgment, they cannot sell the house or refinance it without my getting a call from the title company saying, Mr. Gallant, you are owed X number of dollars. What will you do to release the house? I say, pay me.
Exactly.
And if they want to sell or refinance the house, that's just what they're going to do.
That's wonderful. Well, I really hope that everyone has learned something from this wonderful experience, because I think many people out there don't know how to collect their judgments. And if you're in the area of Los Angeles, you've got a great guy here who's going to help you. He's honest, he's punctual, and he'll get the job done. Thank you very much.
And I'm not restricted to Los Angeles. I can recover judgments all over the country.
Oh, perfect. Even better. So there you go. So from here all the way to New York, to Hawaii, to Florida, you got the right man at Atlas Judgment Recovery Corp. Thank you very much. I'm Howard Paul Shore with Dennis Gallant.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.